When transforming your environment is impossible, it's time to transform yourself. A quantum and spiritual exploration of inner change. In the vastness of the inner and outer cosmos, where matter and consciousness intertwine in a dynamic fabric of possibilities, a profound and paradoxical truth emerges. When the environment around us seems immutable, rigid, and resistant to change, true revolution lies not in the attempt to shape the external world, but in the bold metamorphosis of the being that inhabits that world. This seemingly simple maxim contains at its core a universe of meanings that defy linear logic and invite us on a quantum journey toward spiritual transformation. From the perspective of quantum physics, reality is not a static block, but a constantly fluctuating field of probabilities. Yet at times, our environment seems crystallized into rigid patterns, structures that resist the direct influence of our conscious will. This phenomenon can be interpreted as a manifestation of the interaction between complex systems, where the dynamics of chaos and order are balanced in a delicate interplay of forces. Is the environment perhaps an illusion of stability, a collapsed quantum state waiting to be reopened by consciousness? What does it mean for our freedom that the external world presents itself as an insurmountable barrier? Can we conceive of transformation not as an act of domination over the environment, but as an expansion of the internal field that redefines our relationship with reality? When the mutation of the environment reveals itself to be a fruitless endeavor, our gaze turns inward, toward that intangible space where consciousness unfolds in infinite dimensions. The transformation of being is not a mere superficial change, but a profound reconfiguration of the internal structures that shape our perception, our emotions, and our will. In quantum terms, this metamorphosis can be understood as a state shift, a transition between different levels of subjective reality that alters resonance with the external world. Spiritually, this process is an awakening, a recognition of the fundamental interconnectedness between the self and the cosmos, an opening toward unity that transcends fragmentation. What aspects of our being must dissolve to allow the emergence of a new form of existence? How can we cultivate the patience and humility necessary to sustain the emptiness that precedes creation? To what extent can inner transformation be seen as a co-creation with the universe, a dialogue between the microcosm and the macrocosm? Accepting that environmental transformation is impossible is not an act of resignation, but of profound wisdom. It is recognizing that the greatest power lies in the ability to reinvent ourselves, to expand our consciousness, and to embrace uncertainty as a fertile ground for growth. This acceptance opens the door to authentic freedom, freedom that does not depend on external conditions but springs from the very essence of being. How can we cultivate a resilient consciousness that thrives on paradox and uncertainty? How can inner transformation radiate subtle but powerful changes in the fabric of our environment? Perhaps the most revolutionary act is conscious stillness, the silence that precedes creation. When contemplating this invitation to inner transformation, questions emerge that challenge ordinary understanding and call for deep reflection, capable of generating an emotional resonance that transcends the individual and becomes a collective call. Who am I when external circumstances no longer define my identity? What does it mean to exist in a world where true change begins in the invisible alchemy of the soul? If the environment is a reflection of our internal state, how can we be conscious agents of the reality we co-create? In a universe of infinite possibilities, what place does the paradox of transformation occupy when external change is an illusion? Ultimately, the impossibility of transforming the environment becomes the threshold to a much deeper and more radical transformation, that of the being. This process is not a renunciation, but an affirmation of ultimate freedom, that which resides in expanded consciousness and the ability to reinvent reality from within. Inner transformation is, therefore, an act of quantum and spiritual creation. When the world around you feels immovable, it's a signal to turn inward. The physics of emotions teaches us that our internal landscape shapes our reality. Imagine your thoughts as particles, colliding and creating new pathways. When you can't change your environment, you have the power to transform your perception. This is where neurotranscendence comes in, rewiring your brain to see challenges as opportunities. Embrace the concept of cosmic alchemy, transmuting negative experiences into wisdom. Each setback is a chance to recalibrate your emotional state, shifting from despair to resilience. This quantum change isn't just theoretical, it's a practical approach to personal development. By mastering your inner world, you unlock the potential to influence the outer one. So, when transformation seems impossible, remember the real power lies within you.